Hi, I'm Christian Lee. I'm part of Aztec Music Group, and I'm here with, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Com Truise.
And Com, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, doing very well, yes.
And so we talked a little bit about this before
Yes.
the camera went on, but this is the last stop of your tour. How are you feeling? And then now it's finally wrapping up.
I'm feeling good. It was a good one. It went by really fast. It usually seems to go by slower, but it went very smooth, and we had plenty of good shows, and avoided any precarious situations for the most part, and we're safe. So that's all I can hope for, I guess.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
And also, well, how are you feeling to be back in San Diego? Because I actually saw you last time you were here with Star.
Oh yeah. It's been a little while. So it's good to be back. Yeah. Very excited for tonight. Should be a good show.
You're gonna end it with a bang, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And this is the first question I always like to ask everyone when they come down to San Diego. But you lived in LA for a little bit as well. But my question for you is, so have you ever had a California burrito or carne asada fries before?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. You a big fan?
Plenty of times. Oh yeah. I'm very much a fan.
Okay. And before we, yeah, me too. And but before we get into your music, though, I have another cooking related question because I heard you're quite a cook yourself.
Yes.
And I'm actually Vietnamese, and I've heard you've made like banh mi and like pho before.
Yeah.
And so my question for you is like, what would you put ideally to make the best banh mi?
I like the chicken, and I add some Benton's bacon to it. I make it a little weird, but lately I've been doing tofu.
Really? Just tofu and banh mi, huh?
Yeah. I just saute it nice and crispy, and that's how I do it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then a quick follow up too is for your pho. Have you ever put oxtail in it before?
I have not. I've never worked with oxtail. I've done chicken when I lived in Brooklyn. I went and I got everything very specific, from the butcher, and I did it that way, and it was, it came out amazing. A long process, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
Oh, it's always worth it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like homemade pho is always better than like the one that you buy wherever.
Definitely, it was very good.
Okay, but real quick before we get back to go to the actual music portion of this, you should try the oxtail in it. I think you'll be in for it. Awesome. You'll in for a treat.
I'll try it.
All right, give me a second. Okay, and now to the actual music, and so you're releasing an album this year, and you actually completed the trilogy of the Com Truise character with Iteration being the last one.
Yes.
But you're releasing a new record now called Persuasion System, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and does it? Just a few questions. Does it still revolve around Com Truise?
It's loosely based on that narrative, the previous narrative. It's more so, for me at least, it's an exercise in trying to write about immediate situations and not necessarily follow a narrative other than how I'm currently feeling or what's going on in my life, which I tend to not focus on or in the past. But it's definitely more about the present.
Okay, and then can you also tell us maybe a little bit more tidbits about the album?
There's it's an interesting one. I have some some ambient tracks on there, and the tempo's kind of all over the place. It's definitely an experiment. It was set to be an EP, but I had a bunch of tracks, and I was like, let's just put it out all together. And it was my way of just kind of getting away from the scrutiny that that the press really puts on a record, and I just wanted to get this piece of work out as it stood. Regardless of how long it was, it still feels like an EP to me. But yeah, it's definitely my I think it's a culmination of the last couple of years of really changing software and kind of rebuilding processes that I had in the past. I feel like I'm finding the next direction to go. I feel like the stuff between Iteration and Galactic Melt were very much me just trying to figure it out. I moved a lot during that time and was touring a lot, and I didn't really feel like I had the most solid amount of time to focus on the music. I think for the most part, I took last year off, 2017. I just had some one-offs and things like that, but I had a lot of time to focus on the music. Some of the songs are a little old. The ambient ones are older. I just felt like I wanted to get them out, before they collected too much more dust,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we talked about past a little bit, and so let's talk about that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So you've gone under other monikers such as System and Airliner.
Yes.
I've heard a few songs from Airliner do great, by the way.
Thank you.
But like, what made you decide to shed those names and become Com Truise, like for this era?
I think for the most part, it's about me trying to compartmentalize things for myself. I still will revisit those old aliases, but I like kind of working in a structured environment where I won't go too far in one direction, and I feel like if I had stuck with one of those other pseudonyms, then I don't know, I just feel like it would sound wacky to me. It's that whole thing about like, there's definitely room for an artist to experiment and grow, but I think it's when the artist does something and they're too far away from what I originally liked them for, it's weird to me. So I kind of wanted to I'd rather just make different boxes, because it really just, it's the, it's like how I like to work, so it's mostly for me, so I will revisit those other aliases. Definitely.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
All right, and speaking of Com Truise, so that's such an interesting name. So
Yeah.
how did you come up with it?
It was a joke between some friends in advertising. I used to go out with these couple of guys that I worked with. We were the lunch crew, and one of my friends, he actually said Com Truise by accident, trying to say Tom Cruise, and I was just like, oh, that's funny. And I've been working on this project for a while, but didn't really have a name. I just was going back and forth between stuff, and I thought one day, let's just give it a shot, so I just kind of went with it,
Okay. Well, speaking of the name too, I actually have a gift for you.
Cool.
And so, Tom Cruise, and we're in San Diego.
Yeah.
So I got you the soundtrack to Top Gun.
Oh, awesome. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, so Eddie
funny.
told me about the record, because I believe your parents used to listen to a little bit of Kenny Loggins back in the day.
Oh,
right?
yeah. They still do. Definitely. They were Kenny Loggins fans forever.
And this is one of the great movies of
yeah.
in the 80s, and so have you ever seen it before?
Oh, yeah. Many times. Yes, this is a great film. And a great soundtrack. That's crazy.
It's pretty
That's
good.
so cool. That's funny. I just, on the way here today from Phoenix, I went on a little shopping spree and bought some records. I hadn't bought vinyl in a while, and I was like, it's just like my turn to home's collecting dust, and I want to start listening to music more and cook more when I get home. Because I got the majority of the summer off, so I was like, I'll get some new records so I can listen to stuff when I go home. So this is awesome. Thank you very much.
I'm glad I could add to your collection.
Rad. Super awesome.
Okay, and going back to the record, and so is this supposed to be your last record with Ghostly?
Well, I was, but since this was, Persuasion System was supposed to be an EP, there was one more record in the contract. So I basically just gave him a free record. You know what I mean? Like I gave him the extra amount of songs or whatever. But there will be another record, which I'm very excited to write. And then we're just, it's not my end of my relationship with Ghostly. Definitely, that's not the case. I think we're just going to work with smaller deals, because when I originally signed with them, it was a really big contract, and I think the smaller the deal, the easier it is for me to focus.
Because it was like a 3-record deal, right?
Yeah, 3 record, and we put out EPs that weren't even part of the deal. I was just like, I like this piece of music as it is, no more, no less. Let's get it out.
Okay. But I've heard in other interviews too, like once you're done with the EP, and then with the next album, I think you wanted to retire.
No.
No?
I thought about it. I've thought about retiring the name, but I don't know. It's just, even on this tour, I just feel like there's still people that are very interested in it and still want more. And I don't think my, the creation part of this process is done evolving, of this project. So we'll see how it goes, I guess. I don't know. I definitely want to take some time to work on some other projects, and I do have a lot on my plate that is not necessarily based on Com Truise, but because of Com Truise, some projects. So, I think my creative output will grow, a little bit faster, I think, because, I don't know, I just feel like I'm getting back into it a little bit more. I took some time off, and get my mental space right. So I'm excited.
You'll have time after the tour.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and speaking of the tour too, so I've seen, like I said, I've seen you before on tour, and I've noticed last time I saw you on stage, you let your music do more of the talking.
Yes.
You rarely spoke during your performance, but I've seen in other interviews, and right now, you've given great answers.
Yeah.
It seems like a different of a contrast.
Yeah, I definitely want the music to speak for itself. I find that. I don't know. I've gone to plenty of shows where the artists talk a lot. And that's just not me. But I definitely been branching out on this tour and talking more, some jokes here or there. Silly stuff. I know it's all part of it, but it's still. I think it's enough to satisfy people. I think before there was a period of time where I wasn't talking, and I was just kind of very much like, get the show and do it, and especially when you're opening, for someone else, it's you're on limited time already, so I'm not going to get up there and give a spiel. So
Oh, sure. Okay. And so let's dive back into the past for a little bit. And so I heard for your childhood you never saw a concert growing up.
No, I mean, when I was when my mother was pregnant with me, she went to a Culture Club concert. So that was like my first experience at a concert. I didn't necessarily see it. But yeah, I wasn't. Where I came from, music was, I don't know, it seemed like a very rare thing as far as, bands and things like that. And, I know it was there, but for the most part, I was much more, outdoorsy and into sports and things like that growing up. I grew up in the countryside, basically. Okay. So, I fell in love with music much later in life, I think, definitely.
So what was your first concert you ever saw, though?
I think, it's got to be like Genuine.
Really? Genuine was your first concert?
The local casino or something, yeah. Which was really weird. I went on a date with a girl, it was funny.
Pony is such a great song.
Yeah.
So.
I know I had seen stuff before that, but I'm never gonna be able to remember. I saw some concerts at like the New York State Fair and things like that, but nothing impactful. The first time I ever saw, music that I actually loved was much later, when I was like 18 years old. Definitely driving to Philadelphia to, check out drum and bass DJ sets.
Because you used to be one.
Yeah, that was like when I finally saw music that I was like, that was when I finally felt like, wow, it's really amazing to be in a room with so many people that like the same thing. I thought that was incredible, and I think that's what really made me really gravitate towards wanting to do electronic music, was that feeling of like, holy crap, you're around all these people and we like the same thing. This is crazy. All
right. Well, I have a few more questions for you, and so let's talk about your family for a bit. So what was it like with your family with music?
They were skeptical in the beginning, when this project kind of took off. I just, I'd been working in advertising and had a nice job and was, finally stable, didn't have to go to the bank of mom and dad, So they were nervous, I think I was nervous too, but I remember talking to my design director, telling him that I had this tour coming up and I was going to, put in 2 weeks, and he was like, that's awesome, man. He's like, ride the wave as long as the wave lasts, and here we are 10 years later, and it's still going.
You're still riding the wave?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's very lucky, because it is, it gets difficult sometimes, but my most difficult times are still pretty easy, so I'm totally lucky.
Okay, and so you talked about your parents,
yes.
But do you have any siblings as well? Or?
Yes, I have a sister. She is 2 years younger. She's also musically inclined, much more than I am. She's a singer-songwriter, and she does a podcast now, and it's interesting to see that I am the one who does it for a living, now, and not her. So I always feel like she should be here sometimes, than me, because I was very much I don't know. I find it very interesting.
Mm-hmm. She could always maybe do some vocals on a track or something.
Could happen, definitely. We've always talked about it.
Okay, but speaking about your sister too, I actually have a song to play for you.
Oh, cool.
It's related to your sister. Once this ad can get skipped. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and here. Let's see if you heard the song before, but I'm not too sure. But it's a very popular song, and it relates to your sister, actually.
Yeah.
And so what can you tell me about Baby Shark?
I don't really, the inception of that, I'm not sure where she came up with it. That was when she was in college, and I had moved to New Jersey, and we didn't see each other very often, but I feel like she's called herself a Baby Shark for a long time. I'm not, this makes me wonder now. I'm going to ask her as to why, she chose that.
Because it relates to the podcast.
Yeah. Right. Prime Shark, yeah.
Are you close to your sister at all too, or?
Yeah, I mean, we talk every day.
Really?
Even just through text, because she works for, FedEx, and she's pretty busy. But we don't get to see each other all that often. Just holidays and things, and I try to get home as much as possible when I have time off and to see everybody. But not as much as I would like to. But we're close. I help her out with she's audio stuff.
That's
I made her a
awesome,
little theme music for her podcast the other day. So I'm definitely always trying to help her.
A good person to get help from.
Yeah.
All right, and next time you see your sister, I actually have one last gift for you. I feel like this will make your sister love you next time you see her. It will make a great, homecoming gift. It's actually a black flag record.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. That's crazy. She's going to freak out. Yeah. That's awesome. Wow. That's so cool.
This record's for me. I don't know why I apologize.
That's super cool. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
Okay, and my very last question for you is, the tour is coming down, and then, you're going to relax for a bit, but I hate to be that guy, but, what's next for you?
Well, there's...
what can we expect for
another big body of music. I'm not sure if it's going to come out this year, but it'll be announced. It's already done. Oh. But, so that's, I won't give away the details as to what it is. But there's more coming this year, definitely a lot. And there are remixes that I've done that are finished up that'll come out eventually. And
that's awesome.
I'm very excited to write the next record. I'm really, really I've been this excited to write new stuff. I feel very inspired. I don't know. Usually, tour does not inspire me.
Yeah.
It tends to make me want to just sleep and not leave the house, which I have those feelings too. I'm excited to be in one place for more than 3 days, but there'll be plenty of new stuff coming out this year, and maybe mid next year too. So I think I'm excited. I'm just gonna start working on stuff like crazy. Definitely.
I can't wait to listen to all that new music when it comes out.
Cool.
All right. And thanks for taking the time to do the interview.
Thank you very much.
But before we wrap things off, where can we find you on social media? Where can we find your music?
You can find me on most retail websites, streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, all that jazz. Just search for Com Truise, and then that's the same, at Com Truise for Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that jazz.
And last but not least, anything you have left to say to your fans, friends, family?
I don't know. Thank you for the support, I guess, Thank you very much.